We'll call the regular meeting of the Upshur County Commission to order. We'll begin with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll have the reading of the minutes of the March 8, 2012 Upshur County Commission meeting.
The County Commission of Upshur County, West Virginia held their regular meeting at the Courthouse Annex on Thursday, March 8, 2012 at 9 a.m. Donnie Tenney called the meeting to order. There were present Donnie Tenney, Commissioner, Creed Fletcher, Commissioner, J.C. Rafferty, Commissioner, William Parker, Administrator, and Jacqueline Dinklager, Secretary. The meeting began with a moment of silent meditation and prayer. After reading of the minutes on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Creed Fletcher, the Commission approved the regular meeting minutes of March 1, 2012 as submitted. Michael Cowger, Upshur Portal Project Representative, appeared before the Commission and provided a review of the Upshur Portal Project. The project is providing free limited Wi-Fi internet access for various public locations throughout Buchanan and Upshur County. William Parker introduced Brian Clem, Global Science and Technology Representative, who asked pertinent questions on behalf of the Commission concerning the security of the Wi-Fi network in relation to the county system. After discussion, on motion by Creed Fletcher, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved the Upshur County Recreation Park pool facility to be included in the Upshur Portal project. Kara Casto and April Zicafus, AmeriCorps representatives, appeared before the Commission and provided an overview of services and programs provided by the nonprofit organization, and requested the Commission to sign the proclamation designating March 10th through March 18th, 2012 as AmeriCorps Week in Upshur County. The purpose of the proclamation is to recognize and encourage volunteerism in meeting national and community needs. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Creed Fletcher, the Commission approved the Commission to sign the proclamation. The Commission recessed at 9:50 a.m. The Commission reconvened at 10:15 a.m. The Commission reviewed the press release from Brian Godet, Upshur County Circuit Clerk, as recipient of the West Virginia Records Management and Preservation Board's grant in the amount of $10,000. The grant will be used for the implementation of digital imaging, which will improve access and preservation of records. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Creed Fletcher, the Commission approved the final report and authorized payment of reimbursements in the amount of $23,246 for expenses associated with Home Security Grant 09 SHS 18, Continuity of Operations for the Office of Emergency Management. The Commission reviewed the following for your information items. Number 1, notification from the Division of Justice and Community Services on receipt of request for juvenile accountability block grant funds. Number 2, transfer of ownership, control, and responsibility for firearm Springfield XD45 ACP serial number US 658152. Number 3, building permit, monthly building permit report, February 2012. 4, monthly dog warden report, February 2012. 5, Upshur County 911 Communication Center reports as listed. 6, agendas and notices of meetings as listed. 7, meeting minutes and financial reports. 8, board meetings. 9, budget meetings as listed. 10, appointments needed or upcoming as listed. The Commission approved all invoices for payment. The Commission approved all vacation orders. The Commission approved the following statements as, settlements as listed. The commission approved the following consolidation of land tracts as listed. The commission recessed at 11:15 a.m. Commission attended the meeting of the Upshur County Policy Board at 1 p.m. The commission attended the meeting of the Upshur County Department Supervisors from 2 p.m. and recessed at 3 p.m. to meet with Joyce Harris Thacker. And the commission met with Joyce Harris Thacker concerning budget review at 3 p.m. The Upshur County Department Supervisors meeting reconvened at 3:30 p.m. and ended at 3:40 p.m. The commission reconvened at 3:40 p.m. and with no further business, on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Creed Fletcher, the commission meeting adjourned at 3:45 p.m.
If there's no corrections or addition, I'd ask for a motion that the minutes be approved as read.
So moved.
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. At this time, we have Matthew Kerner, Executive Director of the Opportunity House Incorporated. Morning, Matt.
Thank you guys for taking time to listen to me. I brought basically what I'm going to be using when I talk. I didn't bring full-blown budgets, although I can provide them.
Thank you.
I just kind of went through and stuff that I need so I don't lose track of what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Most of you are familiar and probably tired of hearing me talk about two of the primary populations that we deal with at Opportunity House. One, the addicted population, and secondly, the homeless. Where to start backwards? Just to touch on that briefly, rather than go into a whole lot of detail beating dead horses. Over the last 5 years, Upshur County has averaged 3.4 prescription drug overdose deaths per year. Compared to the rest of the state, we're actually in pretty good shape there. Last year that we have information from, and these numbers came from the Bureau of Health and Health Facilities as of about 2 days ago. Most recent numbers are from 2006 to 2008. Drug use in this county for people 12 years and older, we have 9% using marijuana. This is about 3% using cocaine, and again, these are 2008 numbers, so I suspect that the non-medical use of painkillers has gone up, but right now we're showing 5.2%. So that's in a county of 25,000 people, there's 1,300 people addicted to prescription painkillers in this county. Breaking down homeless information real quickly, with about 2,500 statewide. 1,300 of those are what we call the balance of state, which is the rural areas, outside of where we would normally expect to see homeless people. Those numbers will be going up as the Hearth Act is implemented, which is going to change the definition of homelessness. Because right now, all these guys that are living in their sister's backyard in a camper with no utilities are not homeless, but they will be soon. Currently, the school district has identified approximately 80 homeless children in our school district. So this morning, 80 kids in Upshur County went to school and didn't know where home was going to be when they got out this afternoon. Brief rundown on what we do. Opportunity House began in 2004 with 11 transitional beds. That program runs from, we ask for a minimum commitment of 6 months up to 2 years. We used to begin at 3 months, but what we found was that people who stay in the program longer, instead of 3 months, if they stay for a minimum of 6 months, and then we contact them a year and a half later, they're 300% more likely to still be sober, still be employed, not have created any new legal problems for themselves. When we started, we had an annual budget of less than $50,000. In 2007, we expanded to open Serenity House, which was 5 beds of permanent supportive housing. Where the first house is transitional, it's capped at 2 years. Serenity House is for people who are going to need longer term supports, and it really can be permanent or indefinite housing. Our annual budget for that project is about a little over $60,000. In 2010, we were awarded a contract with the Veterans Administration where we reserve 3 of our beds at Opportunity House for homeless veterans. That's paid on a per diem rate and capped at $57,000 a year. Nationwide, veterans are a disproportional percentage of the homeless population, where veterans tend to be about 8 to 9% of the population overall. They're actually about 25 or 30% of the homeless population.
Why is that, man?
A lot of it is can be mental illnesses such as PTSD, and tend to be a contributing factor. Just the culture, they don't want to ask for help. You know, they'd rather be homeless and have to go somewhere and ask for help. That's why actually outreach has been a big component of that program, where me and my house manager, we go out, we're under bridges, you know, we're out looking for these guys.
Has there ever been a survey, not just of veterans, but of homelessness in general, the number of individuals who have psychological or mental issues that contribute to their status?
Yes, Opportunity House participates. We're actually the lead agency in this county for that, for 2 different measures. One is called the AHAR, the Annual Homeless Assessment Report to Congress. The other is a challenge, which is a similar program, but it's solely for the Veterans Administration. Generally, mental illness is a contributing factor in 40 to 60% of all homeless.
With medication, if properly administered,
Right.
solve that issue?
Yeah.
Could it solve that issue?
Yeah, and just to jump ahead, I've actually included for, you know, if you want to read later,
Right.
a story called $1 Million Murray. It's written by Malcolm Gladwell. And what they found out just by looking at this one guy, it caused them to go look at other issues. And in this one case, what they found out was that over a 10-year period, society had spent $1 million keeping old Murray alive. Because Murray had some mental illnesses, he had a substance abuse problem, he was alcoholic. So we spent a ton of money keeping Murray in jail when he got out of control. We spent a bunch of money with Murray showing up in the ER all the time. There were times in his life where he was stably housed. Sometimes it was because law enforcement said, okay, well, if you stay in this facility, you won't have to go to jail. And in those times he stabilized. At one point in time he was actually in a program long enough that he worked, saved $6,000. Left the program because he was no longer mandated to be there, and drank that $6,000 in about 2 weeks. So there's definitely a lot of evidence that's been developed over the last 20 years that shows it's less expensive to solve this problem than to try to manage it. We hear that a lot with healthcare, that pharmaceutical companies don't want to cure diseases, they just want to manage them so they can drag it out. And what we're finding in housing is that if we house somebody, if we surround them but with supports, that the money we're spending on that is actually returned, anywhere from 4 to 7 times. In the next, hopefully 60 to 90 days, we will be expanding once again. We'll be opening a 3rd house. This house will be, again, strictly for homeless veterans. Be 5 beds, although we may move some stuff around and expand it to 6. That program will also be paid like our HVHV contract is, at a per diem rate. And the absolute cap on that would be about $69,000. Also, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll be beginning an apartment project, and this is really huge for our Opportunity House, because now we're going to transition from solely serving an adult male population to serving families. This will be a leasing project. We're not building a new facility. And we think that's better for participants, and that there'll be a scattered sites. We'll be renting houses and apartments throughout Buchanan and Upshur County, so that there won't be stigma attached to that apartment building. And also, it has a side benefit of bringing money into the community. We'll be, the first 2 years of this contract, we have $165,000 designated to actually go out and rent apartments in the community.
And that's from HUD, I think you indicated.
Yes.
Housing and Urban Development.
Yes. Total, that doesn't even look great. Yeah, about $152,000 a year to operate that program. However, both the HUD projects do require matching funds. And that's where we tend to run into trouble, is that overall we'll gain about almost $30,000 a year in matching funds that I need to raise. And again, that money, we're at about a 1-to-4 ratio. It depends on whether it's operations or supportive services that we're providing, what the match rate is. But basically, for every $1 that I can find from an unrestricted source, that will allow me to leverage $4 that I can spend on providing services to our clients, or for operating facilities, paying the light, paying the sewer, that kind of thing. You can see right now we're in a position we're going to have expanded from 11 beds when we started in 2004 to by the end of this year we should be at about 80 beds, and our budget will have gone from about $25,000 to nearly $400,000. Again, any money that we can gather that is unrestricted is a huge benefit to us. Opportunity House not only benefits the clients that we serve and our program people, but we will, especially this year, be creating new jobs, and not minimum below wage. We're talking about social work positions, case managers, housing coordinators, positions like that. So we'll be adding skilled positions.
Have you tracked the client base? Have you tracked them to see how many have, in a criminal sense, when I use the word recidivist, I don't mean that in a sense of criminal, but how many are successfully transformed after being in your facility, and how many at some point,
some programs that we run, I'm obligated to do that, some I don't. We haven't tracked as well as I would like to, but a lot of that's because we don't have the manpower to do that. That's kind of labor intensive. We have looked at some of our programs, again, because we're obligated. We've been well above average in success rates. 2010, the first year we started the HCHV contract, which there our only program measures are at exit. Basically what we're trying to accomplish in the 6 months that we have those people then is to increase or maintain their income, get them stabilized, get them the supports they need, whether it's mental health, medical, and then get them stably housed in a permanent housing situation. And in 2010, the first year we operated that program, we were 100% successful. This year I've lost one, well actually two, who, if you were just looking at statistics, they would be kind of strikes against us because they didn't move into permanent housing. But both of those individuals, when we took them, we knew that they were going to need further inpatient treatment. And so rather than making them live in a homeless shelter or something like that until they got that treatment, we accepted them, we kept them for a few months, and then sent them back to the VA for inpatient. In one case, one of the veterans ended up in kind of a more, his physical needs were more than we were equipped to deal with, so he ended up in a nursing home. The other one actually came back to us once he completed the inpatient treatment for PTSD. and is now we're working on permanent housing for him. So I can't give you an honest number of say 72% after 18 months. I could make something up, and my guess that it would be somewhere in that area.
Anecdotally.
Yeah. So I think we're well above national average. Again, we are sustainable because of our contracts with HUD for Serenity House and the VA with Promise House. We basically have resources to guarantee that Opportunity House will exist in some form for approximately the next 20 years.
Where do you use the sources for your match requirement? What are the places that usually you get that?
United Way has been helpful there. That's been our biggest single source. We have gotten from time to time, it's erratic and sporadic. Corporate donations, individual donations from various funds. We do charge program fees at the two houses that are open now. Residents are asked to pay approximately $250 a month for room and board. That program money we can use as match. Wherever we can get it. The HCHB contract has actually helped a lot because until then we really had no money designated specifically for Opportunity House. So that house was, there were a lot of months the bank account was almost drained by the time we paid the bills at the end of the month. And we're finally starting to get some room to breathe there. And again, thought, hire some real staff, hire a social worker, we have an accountant now, so we don't have to rely on my math skills, my accounting skills, because after about 5 minutes of looking at the accounting stuff, my eyes glaze over. Again, spending money on programs like Opportunity House, all of our programs, is actually an investment in humans. It returns money. For the last 20 years, studies by the RAND Corporation and across the globe. I was actually reading one yesterday. It was from New Zealand, and if you didn't look at the bottom and see who had done the study, you would think it was done in this country, because the numbers always line up about the same. In that, for every dollar we invest in treatment and recovery, we return $7 to society, because we're not. I don't know how many thousands of days that we've had people at our place, at Opportunity House or at Serenity House, who otherwise the county would have been paying to keep in jail.
Your clients have been very helpful to the literacy program over the years. They work really hard.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things we try to do with them is, so that they're not a load on the community, and it's actually, we find it beneficial for them to go out and do community service projects, so that they're out, they're engaged in the community and not just hiding in the house watching TV. I mentioned that there's a $7 return for every dollar invested. One of the things that we see is a big shift now. There is recognition. I was at a conference in Charleston last year, and I can never pronounce his name right. Gil Kurkowski, director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, was there. He acknowledged we cannot arrest our way out of this problem. So what they're doing, they're trying to do substance abuse treatment with law enforcement, and again, studies for years and years and years are showing that it takes them $15 to accomplish what we accomplish with $1 in terms of returning benefits back to society.
Well, and I think that's something the legislature looked at this year, although I don't think they did too much. They just kept looking, but they are, they realize instead of building another regional jail, just to house more people.
200, I think, was the number they were projecting. The rehabilitation facility.
That they're looking at the benefits of rehabilitation instead of incarceration, which is very little rehabilitation while they're in jail.
Yeah, and all the studies from correctional facilities show that there has to be an almost immediate continuum. Some of the prisons in West Virginia have what they call RSAT programs, which is like a year-long kind of treatment program. But what all the evidence shows is that if those guys aren't immediately released and put out in the population, and they go back to general population in the prison, that was just wasted time, money, and effort. And we're finding the same thing with people who do manage to get into a 28-day treatment program. Right now, there's 249 beds in West Virginia and 19,000 people on the waiting list at any given time. And we're finding if they go for 28 days, they go for 98 days, and they go right back to their same environment, you know, the odds of success are about 10% or less. Where if we can get them into, you know, a longer-term recovery program where it may not be as intense in terms of treatment,
It has that daily
but
support.
right, then they're much, much better off,
Right.
hundreds of percentage points.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing, and we'll take a look at where we are as far as being able to help.
All right. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Matt.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Matt.
it.
Okay, and now it's 9:30. We have folks from the Parish House and Cross Lines.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me start these over here and pass them around.
Okay. I'll pass it.
Thank you. While you're receiving all of our information, I'd like to first just say thank you for your support over the last year and the last few years. Your support, particularly of Cross Lines, has been invaluable in what we do. And I'd also like to just take a moment to tell you some of the folks I brought along with me. We have Dr. Marvin Carr, who is our cooperative parish coordinator in the Upshur Cooperative Parish. Sarah Carr, who, as you know, has been director of the Upshur Parish House and Cross Lines, and really on a daily basis gives me direction. Connie Cutright is our office manager. David Rowan is one of our volunteers. Dora Neely is also one of our volunteers, and JK hangs out with us some and really oversees a lot of the operation of the Hall Neighbor House, which is something that we're proud of, that through the cooperative parish, we've been able to start that drop-in center ministry. But I'm here mainly today to talk about Cross Lines. And if you'll turn to page 2 of your handout, there are just some facts and figures that I just want to highlight to let you know what we've done in the past year and how that has changed over the last 4 years. If you can look down at the cash payout, the very last part down toward the middle of the page, you will see that in 2008, we had a cash payout of $71,000 or thereabouts, almost $72,000. And last year, our payout was $121,675. So you can see the increase over the last 4 years has been tremendous. Now, what this includes is money that we have received at Cross Lines that has come in and gone completely out. Everything that we receive at Cross Lines is used in this community to help with emergency assistance, utility cost, emergency food services. And so the breakdown you can see is on this page. We have done in the past year 8,720 assists. That includes food assistance, utility assistance, homeless transient assistance, deposits, travel assistance for doctor's appointments, and prescriptions. That's quite a few assists over the last year, and you can see that from 2008, we have spent almost or had almost 4,000 additional assists. So that's a tremendous growth, I think, in 4 years. Emergency food services are something that we do 6 times a year for our neighbors. They are eligible for food, which includes not only food that we receive through commodities or the government food, but also food that's donated to us or that we purchase. So each of our neighbors' families are eligible every other month, and we keep strict records. A food package consists of emergency food for 3 days for a family, and dependent upon the size of the family, is dependent upon how much food that we give out. Clothing vouchers that you see, our families are eligible for clothing vouchers every other month as well, and these are vouchers that we print up and give to them, which allows them to go to our clothing closet and get 3 outfits per each family member. So it really is very useful for folks who are in need of clothing. You will notice that we have added in the past year 334 new families. But over the past 4 years, we have added over 1,100 new families. So I think that's a tremendous statistic. Last year, we paid out over $67,000 in utility assistance and deposits. And that is that when someone comes in to us and says they can't pay such and such a utility bill, we are able to help them. Now, we are not able to help them with the whole bill. What we do when they come in is, first of all, we help twice a year, so every 6 months. We are able to give them other places that they can go to seek assistance, and then we pay $75 to $100. And so that's a lot of folks who have been coming in to need help when you consider that we paid out $67,000. So we've heard Matt talk about the homeless population this morning. What I have seen in the last year is tremendous growth in that area. We have had more homeless families come in to see us in the last year than we ever have before, and you can see that that's been a huge cost for us, almost $8,000 in this last year, which is a jump of about $3,500 from the previous year. And what we deem by homeless folks are usually people who come to us who have been evicted and have nowhere to go. So we give them, we help provide temporary housing for 3 nights in one of our motels. And so that's a lot of folks that have found themselves in a situation where they have been evicted and have nowhere to go.
After 3 nights, what typically happens?
Well, what we try to do when we give them the 3 nights is also give them a list of places that they might check for home rentals.
Permanent residency.
Yes. And often they will come back to us and we have to tell them no. But often that's what, after 3 nights, then they find someone to move with. So 3 nights is a temporary fix. And it's not a permanent fix, and it doesn't always lead to a permanent fix, because a lot of times 3 nights just gives them the opportunity to find someone to move in with, and they're still homeless. So this is a huge concern that we have. We have neighbors who come into us routinely who have not found any place to live permanently. Just recently, we have had one of our neighbors who, after the almost 2 years that I have been here, and even prior to that, has moved from living in a garage to actually living in a permanent dwelling. So when I talk about homeless out in the community, people will say to me, well, I don't see too many homeless people out on the street. But homeless, the definition for homeless, as you've heard Matt talk this morning, is much broader. And we see quite a bit of it. We know the folks in the county who are homeless because they come to us for help.
How do you cooperate with the Salvation Army?
I'm going to get to that, Marvin, but thank you. I also just want you to take a look at the other 2. We also help with paying housing deposits for folks who do manage to find places to live. And our food pantry has given out over almost $17,000 worth of food. That's what we have expended for food this year. And so that's tremendous.
That's a calendar year, correct?
Yes, it's a calendar year. Now, Marvin brought up a good point. all of this money that we have paid out in the last year and indeed over the last 4 years, for us it's a tremendous amount. But that's not all the amount of money that's being spent in this county on people who we call our neighbors. As I said, we give out food every other month. But on the months when folks cannot get that emergency food, which is really necessary for them, on the months they can't get it from us, they can go to the Salvation Army. And so we work with the Salvation Army quite a bit. They're doing tremendous work as well. And they see a lot of the same neighbors that we do. And this past year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we gave out nearly 1,000 holiday meal baskets that allowed families to have a holiday meal that would have put burden on them to purchase the turkey or the ham. And the Salvation Army gave us quite a bit of money to help make that happen. So we're very appreciative of what they have done. You'll also see another note down here that says in 2010, Mountain Cap received $400,000 in stimulus money in what we have called the Rapid Rehousing Program. Now that money was split between 5 counties, but because Upshur County was one of those counties, we were able in this last year to be able to send quite a few of our neighbors to Mountain Cap, where they were able to take care of the deposit for housing and the first month's rent and often some utilities. So when you consider how much money, and actually we tried to ask them how much money they spent in Upshur County, but they don't have the breakdown. They just have the whole 5 counties, and all of that money is gone now. So when you consider that Mountain Cap has been spending quite a bit of money for the same kind of stuff in this county, that's staggering to me. I mean, when we paid out almost $122,000, and then Mountain Cap and Salvation Army have come behind us or in front of us or beside of us and paid out money too, that's a lot of money in this county because we have so many low income.
Plus all the other churches that have food banks
Exactly.
also included.
Exactly. So it's a need, and unfortunately it is a growing need. As you can tell, that's one of the reasons why we put this 4-year breakdown before you. It's a growing need.
So would you say that the most of the neighbors that you help, what percentage of them are people who are actually trying to make a living, that their income is just not enough that they can actually, with inflation as it is, that they try to work, they have jobs, usually low-paying jobs probably, but what percentage of them are actually trying?
That's a very good question, because I think a lot of us in the population look at low-income people and think they're not trying. I don't know what the breakdown is, I don't know what the percentage is, but I can tell you that the most of the folks that we see, we have a high percentage of single mothers. 40%, Matt just told me. Thank you, Matt.
40% of the homeless are employed.
Okay.
Are employed.
We have a tremendous amount of single mothers. We have a tremendous amount of folks who have worked hard all their lives and are living off of Social Security now, and it's just not enough. We have a large percentage of people who own their homes, but because they're living off Social Security now, it is not enough. We have quite a few folks who are on disability, and that's not enough either. When folks come in to see us, we routinely ask them to tell us what their household income is, and the figure that we hear more than anything else is $698 a month. Now, you try to imagine being a single person, $698 a month, paying rent and utilities. And yes, folks do get some food stamps with that. But there was an increase in that this year, this calendar year in 2012. Social Security, disability, there was all a slight increase. But with that increase came a reduction in food stamps. So it really wasn't an increase. So that's the figure we hear most often, $698. And that's, we have folks who have no income at all. So, and we have some households who have upwards of 12 folks who live in them. And granted, most of those folks, most of those households are doubled up households, so they count not only as large households, but also in the homeless population, because somebody in that household is living with them, but it's not their permanent dwelling. So we have a lot of that.
Well, there's certainly a need, that's evidenced by the facts, and we certainly appreciate what this community does to help meet those needs.
We're very appreciative of, because we paid out $121,000 last year because we received $121,000 last year. So we live in a very generous community. The disturbing thing to me is that with the economic situation as it has been over the last couple of years, we have folks who are really hurting, really hurting. And when you have folks who are hurting financially, you have folks who have low self-esteem. You have folks who are chronically depressed. You have folks that just don't want to get out of bed in the morning. And that weighs heavily on folks who maybe want to be more productive financially, maybe want to be, and are able to provide. But when you get all those things together, it's just difficult for people to really make it sometimes. So we do have a number of our population who are hurting in many respects, and I'm very grateful that this county is so generous, because it allows us and Salvation Army and Mountain Cap to do what we do.
Well, and Creed knows what the value of the Salvation Army and what all they do, and it's, you know, it takes a lot of organizations and volunteers in the community as a whole to help meet those needs. There's no doubt about that. Any questions? Okay, well, we certainly appreciate any of your other folks.
Oh, I was just looking to see. Any of you guys want to say anything?
Marvin always likes to.
You wearing your kilts
We need to
today?
have J.K. say a couple words about the new program we started last year.
Are you wearing your kilts today, Marvin? I can't see you.
No, I went to practice last night.
I also would like to point out Reverend Joe Shreve, who came in. We're claiming him too. J.K., you want to say a few words?
I was late because I had Mr. Association.
Yeah.
It seems like every year we say the need is greater this year than it's ever been. My 40 years of Salvation Army, it seems like every year the need is greater.
That's exactly right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And Donnie's familiar with centers like this. Some time ago, we provided services similar to this, which are recovery, promoting wellness, strength-based peer supports of different sorts. Some time ago, when the Day Report Center first started up, we were in there providing services, and Donnie was there almost every day. And that's when he became king of the county. And
Yeah, put a strawberry in front of it.
and so that has evolved now into a service that's placed in the Hall House, which is next to the parish house, that had been running for about a year on volunteer efforts. And fortunately, lately have gotten a little funding from behavioral health and health facilities, which will help provide income for peers and provide the much needed programming monies that we just simply never had before. So this is a service, I think, that will do a lot for the community, especially our neighbors who may be looking for supports and a place to go to feel safe and secure, and to have maybe a little bite to eat, and, you know, to develop friendships that maybe they hadn't had the opportunity to do before. And we're really looking forward to, you know, working with the recovery community as a whole, including those that may not have the advantages of others, but not excluded just to that either. So we invite the entire community to come out. We have several informational forums that we hold, and they're pretty broad-based and wellness-oriented. So thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, J.K.
I'd like to point out that because we have the Hall House, it's a Hall Neighbor House that's operating, the crossover between our neighbors and the recovery community is very evident. And because of what the Hall Neighbors House is doing, we now have hot lunches on the campus of the parish house 5 days a week. And we don't turn anybody away, so if you get tired of going out to eat for lunch and you just want a hot meal, come join us one day. And always at noon, you can find Monday through Friday, either at the parish house or at the Hall Neighbor House, there's a hot meal going on.
I think Marvin hosted the Rotary Club down there about a year ago, or maybe less than that, 10 months ago. It was very significant, I thought, like letting us see the good that you all do and the people that you serve. Important.
Thank you.
It is what makes, I'm not a native of Upshur County, but it is one of the things that drew me to Upshur County was the sense of community that we have in this community. And it is, to coin the phrase, someplace special.
Well, I'm not a native either. 25 years ago, I worked for a couple of years in the county. My husband and I did, and then we left to go other places, so it's what drew me back, that spirit of Upshur County.
Alicia's doing a spectacular job.
Good folks. Good folks. Anybody else want to say anything?
I
Thank
don't know
you.
if this is the place to say it, but we always need donations to the Parish Coach Club because that's what supports a lot of these programs. And it's very necessary.
So go through your closets and all those clothes you can't wear anymore. There's a good home for them, right?
Someone else can wear them.
And I will tell you that for after many years, Pat Settle, who has been our closed closet manager on a volunteer basis, is retiring. And we have Heather Gessler, who has come on board to replace her. But we are having a big party for her next Saturday, March 24th at 12:30? Right when the closed closet closes, so somewhere around 12:30. It'll be at the parish house, and I'm inviting everybody to come and just let Pat know that how much she's appreciated in this community. So you guys are invited.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for having us.
Okay, thank you very much. And you can leave if you want to, and you can stay if you want to. Matter of fact, I think it'd be a good time to take a 5-minute break. Okay, we're back from our break, and next item is we have some volunteers for the Lewis Upshur County Animal Control Facility: Sierra Nicole Walters and Crystal Jane Briscoe. And I assume that Jan is on board with this?
Yes.
She sent this request in?
She did.
Do you know if these are Wesleyan students?
They are not.
They are not. Citizens.
We're starting to reach out into other areas. I think these are from Lewis County, she said, didn't she?
One of them is, yes.
Okay, do we have a motion then that we approve these volunteers as stated?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next item is employment of Aaron Harris as full-time monitor for the Tri-County Child Exchange and Visitation Program, effective date of employment, March the 15th, 2012, rate of $7.55 per hour. Do we have a motion to approve this hiring?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. The next is appointment of poll workers. Do we have on the list, or are we?
We do have a list that the Office of the County Clerk dropped off this morning, and they've assigned individuals to the precincts. And we have that for your review and approval.
Okay. Any questions or comments before we vote on this?
I'd like to see the list.
You got it.
Thank you.
Check the list and see if there's anyone JC doesn't want on it before we vote.
No. want to see that all parties are represented.
Well, I think the law mandates that there has to be a certain number of each. How about, can someone that's an independent be a poll worker?
Yes.
They can be. So you don't have to be a Republican or Democrat. Actually, do you have to be a registered voter to be a poll worker?
I do believe so, yes.
Okay.
Because you have to be a member of something.
If not just society. Okay. Well, the poll workers certainly provide a much-needed service to the citizens, and
It is a mark of citizenship,
yeah,
civic responsibility.
we can be thankful we don't have the problems they have in Lincoln County, that's for sure.
Right.
Okay, do we have a motion after duly inspecting the list? Do we have a motion to approve the appointment of the poll workers?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, we have correspondence from Mr. James Gianotto, Director of West Virginia Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, from Senator John D. Rockefeller IV, concerning the addition of a full-time staff person and a part-time staff person to aid in the updating of 911 address conversions.
Well, that's a move in the right direction, but I'm not so sure they don't need more than a person and a half. It's been awful slow so far.
There are approximately 30 to 35 zip codes in process in the Appalachian District Address Management System. Each one is unique, depending on the number of deliveries and routes, as well as the issues and questions that arise during the conversion process. Therefore, it can be quite time-consuming. There have been recent staffing adjustments in an effort to expedite the process. I understand the frustrations regarding the pace at which the conversions are being completed. Please be assured that the Postal Service wants to complete the conversions as soon as possible. The necessary adjustments being made are aimed at satisfying the needs of each county and are establishing necessary processes to make conversion more efficient.
How long has our information been in now? A year and a half, 2 years?
Yes, it was more than that. March of 2009 is when it first went in, so.
3 years?
3 years, yes.
3 years.
So there's getting to be concerned about how long it's taking for people to get their physical addresses.
They can receive their physical address.
They
if
just can't use them for a mailing
Yeah,
address.
they just cannot, well, they can if they take it to the post office, and then the post office locally has been authorizing those as a mailing address. If they take-
In just 26201, or have they been authorizing them in any zip code?
I do not know the answer to that. I know the Buchanan post office has been.
I've had my new address up probably for 9 months, and I'm sure someone's got it confused with the old address.
Well, so the senator says in response to the concern of how much time it's taking that I'm not sure what he did to address it, but he said, I hope I've addressed your concerns.
Well, they had 1.5
Here.
employees
Yeah.
to work on it, so I guess that's what he's
Yeah.
referring to.
Maybe he's concerned about the half employee that they even hired. But anyway, it's gonna be a long, drawn-out process, but the Upshur County Commission has completed our task, which is assigned to us, and now it's the post office. It's in their hands as to when people will be able to use their new physical address as a mailing address. Any questions, go to your post office, Buchanan Post Office. Okay, well, we have agendas and notices of meetings and
Bills to pay.
bills to pay, and so unless someone has something else, great,
No, I don't think so.
Willie? If not, we will start paying the bills.